Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are getting ready to enter our probe into the atmosphere of Eve here, or more specifically our rover into the atmosphere of Eve here. We're currently banking up a little bit of electric charge before we go around into the shadow of Eve, which is why we're oriented as we are. But for right now, I'm going to warp ahead a little bit until our solar panels are in shadow. Or our batteries are full. Whichever comes first. Well, our batteries are currently basically full. Do I want to risk transmitting this data? Of course I do. Of course I do. Okay, we're at 50%. We're at 75%. We're not going to be getting any more light for a while. Let's position at the maneuver node. Let's put the Rove Mate into hibernation. We still have the remote guidance unit not in hibernation here. Going to turn the SAS off briefly to conserve power. In fact, we're going to enter hibernation. We're going to warp forward a little bit. So we want to burn at T-minus 3.5 seconds. You can stop that. Thank you very much. We've gotten what we're going to get for right now. I suppose we can keep that experiment. Okay, we are about 2 minutes away from this burn. Going to warp forward a little bit further. 1 minute away. Okay, T-minus 3 seconds is when we want to burn this. We're going to come out of hibernation here. SAS on the maneuver node. Excellent. So we want to burn this at T-minus 3.5 seconds. Which, technically, I was slightly late on there. That's okay. Overshot that slightly. What's that looking like? 66? Can work with that. We're currently control locked because our satellite is on the other side of Eve. That's fine. We'll just warp ahead a little bit. Make sure that we're pointed surface retrograde. Because we are going to be entering. Remember, Eve's atmosphere goes to 90 kilometers above the surface. We've entered into suborbital spaceflight above Eve. Excellent. We just need to warp forward a little further. Yeah, we're missing some gravity scan data here. I am aware of this. Okay, we have a probe connection now. We're going to be getting power quite shortly. Except we're not. Well, we are, but we're going to have to stow this photovoltaic panel quite soon. We're going to get what we can get. Because we're going to need to save up electric power, we'll have to transmit our remaining orbital data from the surface. Okay, we've got power coming in now. We can get rid of this maneuver node. We do not need it. And for right now, we're just going to warp ahead a little bit further. Let our power build up. And actually, I think we can maybe get away with transmitting here. Maybe. We'll give it a go. We're 40% done. 70. We're done. Excellent. We've got another 10 kilometers to fall, too, so we can use this time to build up our electric charge. And actually, we can grab this gravity scan. We are not transmitting that gravity scan. We need to rotate here if we can. Get ourselves a little bit electric charge. There we go, that's better. We're going to need to retract this solar panel before we hit the atmosphere, though. So I'm just trying to bank up every little bit of electric charge that we can right now. Because we need to retract this very soon. At 9,300. Actually, nope, we're blocked, so right now. Okay. We're going to grab a temperature scan, atmospheric pressure scan, and we're just burning off all of the remaining fuel that we have. Every last bit. Fantastic. And now, we inflate our heat shield. We keep pointed surface retrograde. Our electric charge is looking good. We've entered into atmospheric flight above Eve for the first time, not counting the simulation, of course, because that does not count. Look at that, we're already decelerating. Eve's atmosphere is ridiculous. We did learn, though, in the simulation, that we can't physics warp this. Otherwise, we start spinning like a top. And I would very much like to prevent that. Thank you very much. We're going to turn off hibernation on the Rove Mate. Remote guidance unit is looking okay. Checking the small inline reaction wheel and the large inline reaction wheel, those look good. Okay, so we've just got ourselves a long, slow descent. Luckily, we are definitely landing on land. So that is a good thing. Next thing that we are, of course, going to deploy is this parachute, which it is currently very unsafe to do. I mean, this heat shield is basically a parachute in reverse. It slows us down so much. We're down to 1 kilometer per second. Look at these G-forces. That's nuts. And we're still this high up in the atmosphere? Absolutely insane. Well, we're holding pretty steady on the surface retrograde. I like it. Okay, I'm gonna quick save here, and I'm gonna be okay with reverting to the quick save because this is a kind of gamey thing that's about to happen here. So I quick save there, and the question is, with the advanced reaction wheel module large that we have here, can we physics warp without spinning like a top? That's the question. I'm gonna find out. It looks like the answer is yes. That's great. That's really, really great. Because this is going to take a long time to get to the surface. A very, very long time. We're only moving at 90 meters per second and still decelerating. And we're this high up. Currently moving at 60 meters per second and still decelerating. Still currently 20 kilometers up. Okay, we've got a flying low here. Let's actually transmit some data. Excellent. And we'll grab some additional experiments here, and we'll let our electric charge slowly regenerate. Of course, we could extend this photovoltaic panel, but I think that we're okay just running on this and slowly regenerating. We're not going to be getting anything other than flying low and on the surface, so that should be fine. We're currently moving at about 33 meters per second and still decelerating. 12 kilometers above the surface, going down at 4x time acceleration. Currently 10 kilometers above the surface. "28 meters per second and decelerating. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and launch the parachute. The parachute is not going to slow us down much more than this thing. When it's closed, anyway. And technically, we haven't tested this portion of the landing, but I'm sure that this parachute can land us safely. Currently moving at about 23 meters per second, and we are about 5 kilometers above the surface. You'll notice I'm keeping the heat shield for right now. I'm going to keep the heat shield until the parachute deploys, and the parachute is set to deploy at 1 kilometer. So that'll be fine. We're 4 kilometers up right now, moving at 22 meters per second and still decelerating. Three kilometers above the surface. We are 2 kilometers above the surface, moving at 20 meters per second and decelerating. Brakes on. Time warp off. Moving at 20 meters per second. We are going to detach the heat shield now. Look how slow we're moving. That is insane. Going back to physics acceleration, or to physics warp. We no longer need SAS for right now. We can turn that off and save ourselves a little bit of electric charge. There goes the heat shield. Kaboom. This is going to be a little while before we get to the surface. Moving currently at about 3 meters per second, which is kind of ideal, really, for this landing. Like, there's no way that this would have worked on Duna. The landing system that I'd probably use on Duna would be a big heat shield like that, not to decelerate as much as we used it for Eve, but rather to just try to catch as much of the atmosphere as possible during aerobraking. And then we would probably have like a pair of drogue chutes, but the final landing would be done via a powered landing. But this isn't Duna, this is Eve. Some debris that survived there. We're currently about 100 meters above the surface. Moving at about 2.5 meters per second. Gonna come off of physics warp. 20 meters above the surface. We'll be landing momentarily. Excellent. That was about perfect, and that is a lovely view right there. Very nice. Okay, so we no longer have any real issues with power, but let's go ahead and extend this solar panel. A lot of this is going to be in shadow, so I kind of want to toggle the brakes, turn like that, turn the brakes back on. Excellent. So now we have better power flow. We are going to need to transmit what data we have. Excellent. Fantastic. Okay, and now we're going to grab our temperature scan, atmospheric pressure scan, seismic scan, and the gravity scan. Fantastic. Of course, our scanning arm doesn't have any targets in range, and we'd have to... That might be a target. I don't know. That's probably a... Oh, that's actually a modular girder segment right there from our heat shield. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and start transmitting the data back. And we're definitely going to run out of power here. And there is our contract for science data from surface of Eve, and that pretty much single-handedly pays for this. But we're going to be in a situation right now where we are transmitting data back for a little while because of our power deficit. And we'll just warp this a little bit. Okay. We have a little bit more data to send, but it looks like that's it as far as the data goes. Turn on our headlights for no real reason. And we're pretty much ready to do whatever science we need to on Eve. Of course, right now we don't have much of a contract. I suppose we could head over here. And maybe see if we can't find ourselves something to scan with the scanning arm. This is going too fast. Going to utilize the brakes. We're rolling downhill right now. I'm not doing anything to provide this acceleration. I'm just interested to see if this rock is something we can scan. It's definitely too fast. Slow it on down. Eve's gravity is nice for this, so there's no doubt about that. If this was on Minmus, we'd be bouncing all over the place with this brake torque. But not on Eve. I like it. I'd be a little surprised if this rock was something we can scan, but we can take this rover almost anywhere. Hopefully it has enough power to climb some of these hills. We know that the brake is okay on this kind of an incline anyway. Just trying to keep our speed somewhat manageable. And here comes that rock. Definitely want to slow it down a little. Excellent. And of course, in the meantime, our electric charge is regenerating. Okay, brakes on. And here we are. Scan distance of 2 meters, no target in range. We'll try getting a little closer. Yeah, no target in range. So this rock is not a thing that we can scan. I can look around, see if I can find anything that we can scan. But for right now, I think this is good. Although, we're a little close to this rock currently. Yes. These need to be switched over to SAS only. So, reaction wheel, SAS only. We'll just turn that off for now. Excellent. The rest of that seems to be good. Yeah, that's ideal. Okay, let's head on back to the Space Center. That is a successful landing. And let's see what we can find in our contracts for right now. Most of these are not amazingly useful. Rendezvous around Gilly? I mean, sure, but why, though? Okay, let's check in on our long-term flights. They're still quite a ways apart. We don't need this debris, though. So we'll go ahead and do that. And I think what we should probably do is figure out how close we are to this. Do we need to send another flight? So we need 24 Kerbals. It currently supports 7, and the auxiliary module brings with it how many? It brings with it 1 in the Cupola module, 2 in the mobile processing lab. So in total, it brings 3. So we'd need 14. Okay. I think I can deal with that. Huh. Game just crashed. That's an interesting dilemma. I wonder when the last save was. I did not expect the game to crash when we entered the VAB there. That's very strange. And it is currently syncing the Steam cloud, so I can't immediately relaunch it. Sadly enough. It'd be nice if I could. Okay, now I can relaunch it. And I guess we'll see where that last autosave was. I believe there should be an autosave of... That's Europa. Why did... You know what? I need to launch Europa anyway. We'll get that started, but Europa doesn't mute when I am tabbed out, so I'm not going to fully launch Europa. But here's KSP coming back. And the question is, where was that last save? I believe it would have auto-saved after we landed. I hope so. I mean, it wasn't that complicated. I can always re-land. It wasn't challenging. But it is kind of irritating that it crashed there, because I was planning on making a 14 Kerbal auxiliary module that we needed to send up. It seems like I've already done that, now that I think about it. We'll have to check. Hopefully the game doesn't crash again. It stopped responding. Okay, now it's done. Come on, KSP. You can do it. Fantastic. Let's go. Shouldn't be that complicated. Okay, where are we? Landed at Ike. Landed at Eve. We've transmitted or recovered. Okay, that's all good. Both of these will automatically get done. So all we need to do is make sure that we have a 14 crew module. If this crashes again, it didn't. Okay. Fantastic. We need to make sure that we have 14 available here. So this is the auxiliary module. So what we would do pretty much is we would ditch the mobile science lab, and we would instead bring in... What am I looking for? Hitchhiker. That's 4. 8. That right there is 12. 16. So that would be enough. And we'd call this the XG habitation module. What would our thrust to weights look like? Vaguely reasonable. is the answer. This would, of course, have to dock up at the Minmus Gateway before we sent it off, but that would be fine. Okay, I think this is nearly ready to launch. That's the engine plate, right? Yeah. Okay, that's good to go. However, it is a bit late in the episode to launch this thing, so next episode we are going to launch the habitation module towards the Minmus station first, and then, ultimately, towards the Solar Gateway. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.